Naruto's family, basically, it's just gonna be me, Naruto, and Naruto. They're all the same age. Naruto has blonde hair, I have red hair, Naruto has blonde hair. Christian's got spiky blonde hair like Minato's, and Naruto's got his normal hair, and Naruto's got like pigtail ponytails, kind of. And Naruto basically hates Naruto for being the demon who killed her parents. Naruto's got the full 9 tails. Christian doesn't have any 9 tails because he doesn't give a crap. Christian's got the Madara, Hashirama, Sage of Six Paths, Indra, Ashura, all of them and also Hamura. So when Naruto and Naruto are fighting, Christian goes, great. They're fighting and Christian's in his room playing Uno. They're all playing Uno because all of them are out of their spirit forms and in their human forms. Madara is not bad anymore, neither is Indra. They gave up on their evil ways because it was pretty much boring. Then Naruto and Naruto are fighting about blah 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 with their parents doing. Christian yells from his room, "Damn it, Madara! Stop using the Sharingan for Uno hacks! You too, Indra and Hagoromo, and you too, Hamura. Why are me, Ashura, and Hashirama the only ones who don't cheat?" Madara yells, "Well, we have Sharingan and Rinnegan. What did you expect?" He goes, "I expected for you not to cheat. Damn it!" They go, he says, "Hamura, stop using hacks with the Byakugan. You're probably the biggest hacker here." He goes, "Not my fault. I have Byakugan." He says, "You're literally can activate it at will. You're using it. Stop it cheating." He goes, "The only 2 chill people right here are Hashirama and Indra and Ashura. They are literally the quietest ones here." He says, "What the flip?" Then they all just start having an argument going, "No, you cheat, no. You cheat, no, you cheat." Naruto and Naruto are like, who is he talking to? They head in his room and Naruto says, "Who are they?" He says, "Shut the flip up," and says, "Water pistol!" And then she runs out of the room going, "Naruto, help me!" He says, "You were just yelling at me and called me a demon. Hell no." She goes, "I'm sorry, just help me. He's shooting water pistols at me." He goes, "Wait, what?" He says, "Also, there's some people in his room." Then all they hear is another yell saying, "Madara, stop, cheat!" He says, "Madara, don't shoot a fireball at Hashirama. You know you're gonna kill him." He goes, "Nope, Hashirama, don't you dare launch that wood golem. You will destroy this house and I will destroy both of you." So stop! Stop destroying it! Damn it! He says, "I'm gonna nuke everyone here!" Pulls out a grenade, bites off the top, and then throws it down, saying, "Say up, bitches!" Then disappears. Then it explodes, going, brrr, but it was just a flash grenade. They go, "Ugh." Christian takes all their cards and puts his cards in the middle, and then when the flash goes back, he says, "Uno out." Indra yells, "Hacks! I call hacks!" He goes, "Not my fault." He goes, "It is your fault. You're the one who literally cheated." He goes, "Flash grenade!" Throws another one. He goes, Christian says, he says, "Well, you guys want to do some training?" They head to the psyche, because if they go to the mindscape, they can train themselves. They can train there, and the physical efforts will come to their normal body, to Christian's body. I know that. So then the first Christian says, tournament start! He creates an area for everybody there. Also, he has all-online Biju, but he has half the Ninetales, which Naruto doesn't know. He has half of all the Biju. Like 50% of all the meat. Then he says, alright, you got all and then he creates a beautiful mindscape. Some of the places we're trading, but there's a barrier around it. And a nice area for the tailed beast to walk around and Hagoromo and Hamura to watch each match. Christian says, now for me, fightable train bots. He goes, fighting against it, going, then he says, Vito Nekusa, blasting him back. And then he says, also thanks Ashura for this technique, and creates an amethyst orb and yeets it, and it destroys the training bot. He goes, got it. He's about to get. Then the training bot goes for a giant punch. He jumps out of the way going, fire style, majestic destroy a flame. And then it also burns the robot to a crisp. Then when the final matches are over, they all tied except for Ashura and Indra's match, where Ashura won. He says, okay, me v Ashura. Christian's trying to fight Ashura, but he doesn't stand a chance. He goes, dang it, I'm still the weakest here. Then they start their training with him. He goes, he has to try and hold them off for 10 minutes. So they're going to try and get him, and he has to keep on dodging and weaving and attacking. When he does this, he's dodging all their attacks, slightly dodging them all. He goes, fire style, majestic destroyer flame. Madara shoots his own, and they clash, but Madara's easily overpowered, and Christian says, behind you, and hits him with a Cheetor, and hits him with a lightning palm, blasting him back. He goes, ah. Then he appears behind him going, fire style dragon flame jutsu, and hits him. They go, wow, this is a great fight. Then he goes, da, 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 trying to hold them off, but then he finally is defeated. He says, can we go back to normal training now? He says, yep. Then they train. He goes, brrr, just brrr, 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 brrr. I'm a son. So he jumps up in the air going, fire style, great fireball jutsu. Then Madara and Hashirama and all of them are going for their strongest, like, physical attacks against him. They go, ah! He goes, it's either do or die. He goes, da, 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 and yells, going, ah! Then chakra chains come out and bind them all. Alright, let's get back into this with him. With that, finally the day of training over, he's gotten multiple times stronger. He does wield sometimes a true seeking orb, but usually he wields a sword. Then he goes and says, now for your, he says, Hashirama comes out going, and only makes himself visible to Christian. He says, alright, you'll be taking an exam. Alright, Christian says, okay. He says, you have to go and steal a scroll ceiling and learn every jutsu from it in under an hour. He says, can I do it in like 5 hours? He goes, you know, screw it, fine. He says, go! Christian runs out going, and body flickers, stealing scroll ceiling right behind the third Hokage's back. Which he doesn't know how. He grabs and body flickers to a deep, deep forest. The third Hokage doesn't notice that it's gone. Christian is learning every jutsu, going. Then Mizuki would come and try and steal it from him, but he'd easily kill Mizuki going, yeah. Then he defeated Mizuki, and he says, then he returns the scroll, stealing back. Then he jumps back and says, Christian says, woohoo! He says, okay, next. So Hashirama's... Oh, I didn't have to mute myself, hooray. So, with this, he can literally... He is trending. I'll close it. Here we go. So with that training, he's really trying to get stronger. So with him fighting, so actually, then he's a prodigy in the class. He's offered something. They offer him one dojutsu. He said, Madara says, would you like the Susanoo? He says, would you like the, what's it called again? The Sharingan? Or the Mangekyo Sharingan? Hashirama says, I got no dojutsu, so there's nothing I can do. Ashura says, me too. Ninja says, well, it's either the Sharingan, the Rinnegan, or the Tenseigan. Christian says, I want the Tenseigan. He goes, the Tenseigan is just amazing. He says, nah, I'm just a kid, bro. I'll take the Sharingan. Okay, he doesn't take any. But he does choose one. He chooses the Jogan, and a double-eyed Jogan. Actually, a one-eyed Jogan with the Karma Seal. He chooses those two. And they agreeing with this decision. I'm gonna say he doesn't have the QB in him. He just has all 8 other tailed beasts. Then it's time for the academy. Remember, they're 7 years old. So when they head to the academy, Christian just walks there going, He also does have true seeking orbs, but he never uses them. He's using it now to fly, going, then he jumps off. Making it to the academy and the true seeking orbs disappearing. She says, all my training should have come in handy. I should easily be able to defeat anyone in the academy. Then when it starts, it's him versus Sasuke in the sparring matches. Naruto goes, go Sasuke, defeat him! She says, but no, every fangirl says, go Sasuke, go! But Naruto goes, go brother, defeat him, clap him, he is not good at fighting! All the fangirls say, shut up. Naruto stands up for his thing, shut up all of you, Sasuke's gonna lose this. When it starts, they start to... It's not even a match for Christian. Sasuke runs out and going, Christian isn't moving. So Sasuke just is punching him, but Christian isn't moving, and they're just phasing through him. He goes, come on, why are my punches hitting? He goes, I've literally been dodging all of your attacks, you're not that good. Then Sasuke goes for a barrage of kicks, Christian goes, then he flicks Sasuke back. He goes, and is defeated. Then he walks, then they did the unison sign, but Sasuke grabs his shirt. He says, you might want to let go. He goes, or else. Then all of his spirits come out and they go, leave him alone. Now. Actually, one comes out. Madara comes out and smacks Sasuke's hand off of him and says, leave him alone. Then he disappears. Christian says, gang, Madara, you get extra points in Uno. He goes, yes. He goes, now y'all can leave me alone. He won the match, so he walks into the stand, sitting down, going, oh, that was pretty easy. They go, Naruto says, that was so cool. He says, you know what else is cool? You know what else would be pretty cool? She says, what? He says, if you both actually get along. Because once you do, that'll be pretty good. Next is Naruto versus Kiba. Christian says, clap him, Naruto! He's not good! He's dog breath! He's dog water! He says, she says, also, Naruto, who do you like? She says, I like Sasuke-kun, but not too much. He's kind of mean. And all those fangirls are gonna hate me if I get to go out with Sasuke. If it's not one of them, they're not happy. He goes, we'll keep following your dreams. You want Sasuke? You get him. So with this going forward, these team. So Naruto would defeat Kiba finally with one last shot, and a mini version of their sign that's so tiny, but it still hits Kiba. He goes, ah! And launches Kiba back, defeating him. Wait, no, there's no ninjutsu. Naruto would jump in the air and pelt him with shurikens. Kiba would try and dodge all of them. Then he'd say, "Fang over," but then Ruka says, "Disqualified." Kiba goes, "What?" He says, "Kiba, no ninjutsu. You cannot use jutsus like that. That was against the rules that I explained in the beginning and after. You can't use it." He says, but Christian was using it. He says, "You were?" He says, "Bro, that's just my reflexes. I'm not that weak. I didn't use ninjutsu. I literally dodged all of Sasuke's attacks and flicked him." He goes, "Yeah, the only way you could have done that is with chakra." He says, "Chakra's allowed. You just can't use the jutsus. Putting chakra into my finger and flicking someone is not ninjutsu." He goes, Then the next day, then when they get home, Christian says, "Alright guys, so what we're gonna do is," Christian says, "we need to speed up our process if we want to just find out who our real parents were. You guys need to build up a relationship. First, you guys are going to build up a relationship for a year. Once you guys have gotten really close together, we will train for another year by the strongest shinobi that I know. When we're done with that, we will become Genin at 9. They go, okay. So then, about a year, already at 2 months later, him and Naruto have already built a ginormous, amazing bond that cannot be unbreakable. He says, "Okay, you two have done it quicker." He says, "Now, you guys can come out." They all appear, and he says, "This is Madara Uchiha, this is Indra Otsutsuki, that's Hagoromo, that's Hamura, and that right there is Hashirama, and that's Ashura." He says, "Now guys, we will train to our body's limits. Let's go." They head in their house training going. They head into his mind skip training because all that training will pay off outside of it. Christian goes. Then Naruto says, "Is there only any legendary kunoichi in this world?" He goes, "I mean, I could summon her." He says, "Hashirama, I think this might make you happy." He goes, "Please tell me you are." He says, "Yep." He bites his finger and goes, "Ha!" Summoning Mito Uzumaki. He says, "This is Mito Uzumaki, Hashirama's wife and our great-grandma, I guess." She says, "I don't know you." He says, then she walks up and says, "Hi, child." He says, "Hello, my grandson." He says, "I guess." He says, "But who are they?" He says, "They're also your grandchildren." He says, "I didn't notice because they had blonde hair, and not the traditional red Uzumaki hair." He says, "Well, they did take our dad's hair. Oh, I took our mom's hair, but our dad's hair, style." He says, "I see that." He says, "Well, Naruto wanted a kunoichi here, not just shinobi men." He says, "Ah, that's perfect. She teaches her all kinds of stealing jutsu and all that crap." Christian says, and about a year later, they're all super strong. They're all at the top. Naruto usually training with Ashura and Hashirama, but they all train together no matter what. Christian trains with them as well, him always being ahead, but then they finally all become equals. Being at the strength of War Art Kakashi, I'm gonna guess? No, it's too powerful. He says, then they head to the academy, and already Iruka sees all their growth. And they're only 9. He says, Naruto, Christian, please come to the principal's office. Kiba and Sasuke go, ha ha, they're gonna go and get in trouble. Christian says, we haven't done anything, so we're not. And the principal says, alright, you 3, I've seen some massive growth between you 2. You guys are gonna have to share that between your students so you don't surpass them. Christian says, do you really want, he says, wait, whoa. You want us to be weaker than them? He says, no. He says, never mind, forget I said that. So, what I want to upgrade you guys to is Genin. Would you guys like to all become Genin? They all say, yes, sir. And they all become Genin. And they get on a team with Kakashi Hatake. And then Christian says, guys, come here. He puts a hand on all their heads, making them grow about 3 inches. I'm gonna say they were about 4'2" when they were 8, so I'm gonna make them about them all 4'8", which means they're close to 5 feet. They're tall. You know what? Screw it. They're 5'1". I don't care. That's how tall I am. I don't actually know how tall I am. He goes, ah. Then they grow, and then they all put on their headbands, and their teacher is Kakashi Shitake. He says, you 3 are out of the academy early. He says, well, we got some massive growth, so now we're Genin. He says, well, since the teacher allowed you guys to pass early, you guys are already getting material. So we don't have to do the bell test. They all go, 1 year later, Sasuke... Well, actually, no, not 1 year later. 3 weeks later, Sasuke and Kiba are laughing in class, going, ha ha ha! And Kiba and Ino and Sakura going, so hot from Sasuke. He says, then he says, I can't believe those losers got expelled. Then they hear a knock at the door. Ruka says, come in. Christian says, hi. He says, what are you losers doing here? You got expelled. He says, wrong. We skipped grades and became Genin. What? Then they put on their headbands. He says, see? We're Genin. He says, and we're taking the tuning exams next week. He says, you guys are so weak though. How are you guys Genin? He says, we're so much stronger than you. He says, wanna bet? Kiba barks. He says, yep. Christian says, I can take on this entire class, including Iruka, and one-shot you. He goes, well, bring it on. He goes, if you insist. They head outside and they all rush at him. They all rush at him going, ah. He goes, Detroit? He says, Delaware? Sumasha! Knocking them all back. Most of them, it's now just Kiba and Sasuke. Christian breaks Kiba's arm and knocks out Sasuke. They go, ooh, he says, and that's what happens. He says, come on, Kakashi-sensei, we're ready. He says, alright, you 3. Christian says, bye, Iruka-sensei, I left a gift on your table. He goes, these were my best students. Even if Naruto was a demon, he was still a kind-hearted student who tried to become as far away from a demon as possible. Thank you, Naruto. Thank you, you 3. You've made my life better. You were the most respectful student. Calm down and fight so I didn't have to deal with it. I'm gonna miss you 3. I really am. So when it starts, they'd head to the tuning exams. Kakashi says, well guys, good luck. For the written exam, they'd all so easily pass. And for the Force of Death, they also pass as well. Let's just skip all of it since I don't really know what characters to put in it. Okay, look, they don't take the tuning exams. Kakashi wants to hold them back a year so then they can train like Guy's team did. Kakashi would do training sessions with Guy. Okay, look, they didn't get their height increase. They still look like they're 10-year-olds. While Guy's students look like they're 13-year-olds. Kakashi says, "Ah, Guy." She says, "Hey, Kakashi, what's up?" He says, "I want to do a team training bond." He says, "Oh, you already have a team, Kakashi, and they passed?" He says, "They didn't have to pass. They didn't have to pass the bell test." He says, "Why is that?" He says, "Because these three were booted up from the academy all the way up to the top at a mere 10 years old. At a mere 9 years old, they were all brought up to Genin." He says, "Ah, Kakashi, I think we should do it." He goes, "Okay." Then Guy tells the students that they're gonna be having rookies, but don't underestimate them. They are insanely strong. They passed the academy at 3 years before they should have. Then he walks in Neji, and then when Neji sees him, he says, "Such jokes." Mike says, "No, Neji, I told you not to underestimate them." Lee says, "Yes, Guy Sensei." He says, "Alright, Kakashi, let's do a team versus team." Christian says, "I guess I'll take on the cocky one." Well, I mean, I get used to this. I basically just zone off talking about it. And this is not even scripted, just saying. This is me thinking of the plot. So, with Kakashi, so when it starts, it's Neji. It's Tenten versus Naruto. Let's see this match go down. So, when it starts off, Tenten instantly starts going shuriken after shuriken barrages, but Naruto already won the match because she's right behind her, right with a chakra flick, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically charging so much. It's basically a Delaware Smash, but with more chakra in your finger. She goes, "Ah!" Blasting with such air and wind force, defeats her. She goes, "Ah!" Next is Lee versus Naruto. Naruto I don't think would win this match too well, but then Naruto would start getting serious, activating the QBIs, and would finally start to overpower Rock Lee. Then he do that Dragon Ball Z fighting, going boom boom boom. Then he does that backflip kick and then the double stomp in the air somehow. Then he punches Rock Lee down, then says, "Rasengan!" creating a little bit of a bigger Rasengan, but not too big. He goes, boom, but about the size of Boruto's Rasengan, and goes, and then a giant crater in the ground with Rock Lee defeated. Now it's Christian versus Neji. He says, Neji goes, activating his Bakugan. Christian says, his karma spreads up his arm and up to his eye, going, no. He says, what the? Then he activates his Joagon and says, he says, I am a shinobi. Boom. Then he pulls out, then he says, then they start to have a battle going, Christian easily overpowering him. Then he finishes it off saying, Vermilion Rasengan! Basically, it's a purple Rasengan. And he defeats him going, and then defeats Neji with little to no difficulty. He says, that was easy. He says, Kakashi, what did you teach them? He says, I didn't teach them anything. This is all they're doing. And that's it for this part.